that's life, is to fight death.
As you start dying the day you're born.
Yep, that's how it goes.
That's what everyone thinks of every day.
And we're fighting it.
Just that dread.
Yeah.
The impending doom. Hello, and welcome to Canada's premier comic book podcast, Kicking Trees. I'm Carter.
And I'm Xander.
Today we're talking our top 5 favorite superhero movies. So I got my handy dandy notebook here.
I have my phone.
And I will go first. Now, got a lot of curveballs here I don't think you will see coming. So these are in a ranked order from 5 to best.
Are you starting with the worst or the best?
Starting with the worst here.
Okay.
It's still good, but it's just the bottom of my 5 here.
Okay.
Okay, so number 5, we of course have Ben 10, Race Against Time.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
I bet you didn't.
Yeah.
You see, there's a fine elegancy to Ben 10, Race Against Time.
Which one is that?
That's the first live action one. That's the original series live action movie.
The live action one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the one where, this one's not canon to the main universe like Alien Swarm is.
Yeah.
It's the one where they're fighting Ion, who would later in Ben 10 Ultimate Alien be revealed to be an alternate universe version of Ben, who is collecting other Bens to form an army.
Okay.
So Ultimate Alien, they did end up wrapping that into their story, just in a roundabout way.
The live action Ben 10 was that good?
We're gonna continue on here.
Okay.
Coming in at number 4, I of course have Super Buddies. It's like Air Bud, but it's Air Bud's litter.
What's going on? What are we doing?
It's Air Bud's litter, and they get superpowers, and they do stuff.
You've watched that?
Of course.
Okay.
Coming in at number 3, I have an all-time classic in The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. No explanation needed.
Are you doing some kind of joke
moving
right
on.
now?
And then coming in at number 2,
Okay.
this should probably actually be, this is one of my favorite movies in general, Charlie's Angels, the one with Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, and Drew Barrymore. And they fight the Thin Man. They're pretty heroic in that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known you to like that movie.
I do like that one quite a bit. And then my number 1 is Jumper, starring Hayden Christensen.
You don't like these movies.
You don't know.
These aren't your favorite movies.
These are my favorite superhero movies.
You're doing some sort of joke.
I assure you I'm not doing some sort of
Shark
joke.
Boy and Lava Girl?
So you don't like George Lopez or something? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not George Lopez's... I'm not actively a George Lopez fan or anything.
Well, that's your mistake.
Okay.
Okay, let's hear your list.
Okay. Well, So from worst to best.
Yeah.
Number 5 would be The Winter Soldier. Captain America, The Winter Soldier.
That's one of your favorite ones. That's number 5?
Well, you don't know what else I have in store.
Damn. Okay,
What,
keep going. That is a good one.
Don't discredit my list after what you just presented.
Anyways, let's talk The Winter Soldier.
It's number 5. I love that movie very much.
Yeah, easily top 3 MCU probably.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, top 3 I would say.
Yeah.
Captain America definitely has the best trilogy of movies.
Absolutely. I would say the first one's like a solid good, and then the next 2 are really, really good.
Mm-hmm. As the iconic elevator fight scene.
Yes. It's just every scene in The Winter Soldier is a great
It's a perfect movie.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
As my number 4.
So not Across the Spider-Verse, just
No,
Into
if
the
I have
Spider-Verse.
to choose between the 2 of them, I would say Into the Spider-Verse is a tiny bit better.
Okay.
I would say the only thing holding Across the Spider-Verse back is just it's an inconclusive ending. I know it continues on into the next one eventually, but it's just, as its own movie, it can hold its own a little less than.
And we don't know if that next one's coming out ever.
Nope. It could just end like that, and we'll never know how it goes.
So what do you think of when Haley Steinfeld announced her engagement? Did you see Shamik Moore's tweet about that?
I heard he had some sad boy tweets or something.
It was pretty funny.
What did he say exactly?
Moving on to different things. Everyone's got a journey. Whatever. It was something like that. It was pretty funny.
Do you think he's playing into it a bit as a joke, or is he actually actually like that?
I think he's just down bad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I've seen him in the interviews and stuff, and he's pretty down bad.
He's
for
pretty
sure.
down bad.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Shamik.
You'll find someone.
We've all been there. We've all been down bad before.
Yeah, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, I have Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish.
That was your curveball, huh?
Yeah. That's a great movie.
That is.
And I consider it, is it a superhero movie? It is.
It is a superhero
It absolutely
movie.
is.
Has super villains.
Absolutely. He goes on a hero's journey for sure.
Yeah.
He finds himself.
Yeah. And I would agree it's better than Captain America the Winter Soldier.
It for sure. Also, it's a movie that gives me genuine emotion. Like when
Makes
he has
you feel things.
Yeah, when he has that little panic attack in the middle because he fears death so bad, and then the puppy lays on his stomach.
Both of them have an arc.
They do.
Mm-hmm. Everyone has an arc in that.
I think even the bad guys.
Yeah.
Except like the main bad guy, like I can't remember his name because he's a fairy tale. I don't know.
He was more of a nursery rhyme.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, his arc has just become more and more evil, I guess. But they needed a really bad guy.
I liked that he wasn't a sympathetic villain. He was just pure
He
evil
was horrible.
beyond redemption.
And then they
was
also have the
hilarious.
sympathetic villain as well.
In Goldilocks?
In Goldilocks, yeah.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah. And also great animation, great fight choreography. And the villain of Death he's a super cool bad guy.
And who can't relate to fighting death?
That's life, is to fight death.
Because you start dying the day you're born.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's what everyone thinks of every day.
And we're fighting it.
Just that dread.
Yeah.
The impending doom. And it is, in fact, better than Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Absolutely. And Into the Spider-Verse.
I think I do also like it more than Into the
I
Spider-Verse.
think I could rewatch Puss in Boots 2
Infinitely.
more times than I could rewatch Into the Spider-Verse.
I also agree. I also recognize it's probably an outrageous take. But
It might be.
I do agree.
But if you think it's an outrageous take, I encourage you to sit down and watch Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish.
Doing yourself a disservice if you haven't seen it.
You don't even really need to see the first one. The second one holds its own, and the first one, it's just not that good.
No, the first one sucks.
Yeah.
The Last Wish was also one of the first movies where I actually appreciated the 3D aspect of it.
Yeah, they do
It
some
was
good
just
stuff
well
with
done.
that in it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And these final three it was just hard for me to put into a perfect 1, 2, 3, so they could be interchangeable if you wanted them to, but this is how I put them. I just put Puss in Boots 2 as 3 because I felt like I was cheating a bit with Puss in Boots,
Okay.
but it could be 1 or 2 easily.
Okay.
Next one is Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
You have a lot of animated on this list.
You had Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah, we didn't set rules.
No.
Okay. I do.
What's wrong with animated?
That
For a
did-
comic book format, I would say animated just
That
has
one
a
didn't
big
get
advantage.
a theatrical release.
Did Ben 10?
Oh, shit. All right, go on. Now, are you talking the original release or the director's cut?
The director's cut, of
course. Of course.
It just takes things a little farther with JJ and everything, and it adds a good spice to it.
So for those that don't know, JJ was Joker Jr., and it was Tim Drake who was captured and then tortured into his mind breaking, and he became Joker Jr.
And it's a very heartbreaking story. And that's just an emotional story that they have in the middle of the movie. And it greatly shows how far Joker can go.
It does.
Yeah.
And his Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis' fight against Joker at the end, it did a good job of highlighting the differences between Terry's Batman and Bruce Wayne's Batman.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually like a theme throughout the movie, I would say. They even poke fun at each other's costume differences and stuff.
Joker's always calling him Batfake and everything. The
Yeah.
ears are too long, this
Yeah.
and this.
And there's Terry yelling at him from like the ceiling and stuff in the middle of the fight at the end. That was amazing stuff. And laughing at him.
Starts laughing, Joker goes nuts.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Oh, that's good stuff,
Really
yeah.
great movie.
And then my last one is The Suicide Squad by James Gunn, not the other one. That, I feel, is just a perfect Suicide Squad movie. And it did perfect in the name of The Suicide Squad. It's very fun throughout.
Yeah.
It's randomly amazing and fun action scenes. It's pretty silly as well.
None of the characters are annoying.
No,
That's hard to do with that kind of team.
it is.
Mhm.
Because they all tread a line of they could be annoying if
Yeah.
they weren't funny here.
Yeah.
But they all do a very good job at that. And I like how how comic booky they get with like actually having Starro and
I
everything.
love Starro's inclusion.
Yeah. And it has great music, and it's just a great movie.
So, you love that movie. That's your number one superhero movie, and yet you refuse to watch Peacemaker? What's up with that?
I watched some of Peacemaker.
You did?
I think I watched the first episode.
Oh, okay.
And it's just, I don't know what it is, but it's just, it doesn't have the same magic. They probably have a lower budget for the show.
Yeah.
And then it just wasn't as fun to me.
I see. I liked Peacemaker.
More than the movie?
No, the movie was definitely better. But I still liked Peacemaker. It's
Yeah.
worth a watch.
I'm sure it's a good time.
Yeah.
I'll get to
Yeah.
it one day.
Okay, so that's your list. I don't know if you've noticed my first list. It was a joke. It was a joke list.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. I do have an actual list ready.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So number 5 on my actual list, it is Kick-Ass.
Oh, okay.
Actual superhero movie. And I just like it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It has good fight scene, violence, whatever.
Yeah.
The fantasy level's like just high enough that it can still be rather gritty.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Mhm.
I didn't even consider that one.
I bet you didn't.
Yeah. And that scene, every Hit Girl scene is fantastic in that movie.
With that song by Bananarama.
That's what I was trying to think of, yeah. In that
there,
like,
yeah.
apartment building or something.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So that was number 5. Number 4. This is a classic to me. I wanted my actual list to still be slightly offbeat, so I had Kick-Ass here.
Yeah.
And then number 4, The Crow.
You like The Crow that
I
much?
really like The Crow.
Okay. I too like The Crow. It's just, that's really high.
Well, you didn't watch it probably at like just that right point.
At my most angsty age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to watch it when you're like 14.
I wish I could go back.
It just hits you. And you're like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is the best thing ever.
He's pretty cool.
He is pretty cool. And I'm talking about the original, The Crow, of course, with Brandon Lee.
Was there a remake?
Yeah, just in the last year.
That's vaguely familiar.
With Pennywise was playing The Crow in that one.
And it didn't do well, I assume?
No, I think it did horribly.
Yeah, okay. That's hard to remake.
It is.
Yeah.
There's just that whole legend aura around it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's hard to replace.
He is. And then my number 3 is Batman '89. That is the original Michael Keaton Batman movie.
Okay.
What I like about this one is, so it's not a great Batman adaptation. I will acknowledge that. But the Batman in this, he's just a crazy guy. He's insane.
That is appreciated.
He's going around threatening people, and as Bruce Wayne, that classic line, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." And then he threatens Joker with a fire poker. It's great stuff.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
And then they got him, he sleeps with, I think it was Vicky Vale in the movie, and then when she wakes up, she sees him hanging upside down.
As Bruce Wayne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
just does that. He was doing upside down crunches from a thing. I don't know what those are called.
From a bar?
Yeah, from a bar. It was from a bar.
Yeah.
But still, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then another thing I appreciate is Batman disappears for like 20 minutes in the beginning of that movie, and then it follows Vicky Vale just discussing the mystery of the Batman.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any actual memories of that movie.
I watched it semi-recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. That sounds pretty good.
This is baller.
Yeah.
And then for number 2, this is my MCU pick. I do have Infinity War this high up because I rewatched that one on a plane last year, and it did still hit. I do think it's better than Endgame because, like I'm always saying, they go through it a lot more in Infinity War, and that just makes for a more interesting story for me.
I do love how much they go through it in Infinity War.
Mhm.
And that's a fantastic ending to a movie.
Them just actually losing
Yeah.
after on a high streak of like 20 movies.
Yeah, where they just get win after win.
Mm-hmm. They're just shocked at losing. It wasn't a possibility to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like Captain America in Wakanda, he actually seems kind of confused even.
Yeah, he does.
He's like, he's saying like, did we actually just lose? Like, what the
I'm
heck?
Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it has a massive cast, and it just balances everyone really well.
And you think Endgame isn't quite as good?
No.
Because of what? What holds Endgame back?
I think the story in Infinity War is better than the story in Endgame.
Time travel can be tough.
The time travel in Endgame, yeah, then they all went on separate fetch quests and whatever.
Didn't that kind of happen in Infinity War with Thor and his hammer and stuff?
I think Thor and his hammer stuff is the weakest part of Infinity War.
I remember thinking that was like that's slightly a bit boring.
And it works in that movie because that was just 3 teams.
Yeah.
And that was separated by the big 3.
Yeah.
And then in Endgame, they have like 6 teams or 5. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I forgot. Like, Iron Man's team has some awesome stuff happen too with their little fight with Thanos as well in Infinity War, and I really like how Steve and Tony don't even see each other in Infinity War.
They don't even text.
Yeah. Because they're fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were mad at each other.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
They weren't homies.
But then Endgame also has when Iron Man comes back from space and he's mad at Steve. That's a great scene. And no movie has made me figuratively shit my pants in the theater as much as when Captain America catches Thor's hammer while Thanos is about to murder Thor.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
I always
put it
tingles.
up a notch just for that scene.
Yeah.
Just because no movie has done that to me in a theater.
But it didn't make your list.
I thought about it, but Puss in Boots 2 knocked it out.
Puss in Boots is better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then, this isn't even just favorite superhero movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. This one's not even a joke. It's Spider-Man 3. I used to be able to recite every line from this movie, as Xander can attest.
He would put it on and we wouldn't hear the movie. He would be saying the lines instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the Peter Parker stuff in it. That scene when he's at a dinner date with Mary Jane and she's having a tough time, he's having a great time, and neither of them are listening to each other and their relationship's falling apart.
You have made me appreciate it more.
That's a great scene.
Yeah. It's a completely selfish scene, and it's great.
Let's see if I can get the lines from that right now. Let's see it. I'll do one Tobey line. No, I totally get it. I see kids with posters of me in their rooms. They're shouting, oh, I don't have it anymore.
But that is when Mary Jane mentions like her own issue, and then he brings up all the fame he has as Spider-Man instead. Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
Big Halloween item. I'm just a dorky kid from Queens.
Yeah.
And then Gwen Stacy shows up.
Yeah.
And then Mary Jane's like, and she had her polished fingernails all over you. Oh.
And then the ring shows up in the champagne.
He has to fish it out.
Yeah.
He's just having a hard time.
That is a good one.
And everyone's always going on about the Topher Grace Venom. I would argue who is better than Tom Hardy's Venom.
I don't love Tom Hardy's Venom.
No.
Just because they're not great movies. Yeah, it could be argued for sure.
Topher Grace's Eddie Brock, he was just a little prick.
Yeah.
And he was also a nerd, so it makes him a better dark reflection of Spider-Man.
I would agree with that, yeah.
And then at the very end, because Peter and Mary Jane break up in the movie, and at the end, they don't even get back together.
No.
And that's just how the trilogy ends.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I do like that last fight, too. It's a pretty chaotic fight.
It is.
Yeah.
And at the jazz club, he sees Mary Jane, and they don't say a word to each other, and it's bittersweet, because it leaves you wondering, can they go back? And then No Way Home came along and said that they did go back.
Yeah, we just don't see it.
No. So that's my top 5. And then I also have some honorable mentions.
Okay. I would say Endgame is my honorable mention.
Endgame's your own, okay.
And Infinity War.
My honorable mention is superhero movie. That one is a parody movie, but it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not bad. They just parody Spider-Man with Dragonfly Man.
I remember that.
It's not bad. I enjoy it.
Okay.
They got some good jokes in there.
It deserves to be an honorable mention. Is that good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's a comfort movie.
It could be in your top 10?
No.
Okay. That doesn't make much sense.
Okay. And then the other one, this isn't really a superhero movie, but I have Birdman. Watched it on a plane. It was fantastic.
Okay. I have not seen it.
You know the premise of it? Michael Keaton.
I do know the
used
premise.
to play a superhero.
Yeah.
And it's probably not all one single shot, but
It appears so.
yeah. That's how they edit it to all look like
I
one
do
long
like
shot,
that.
and it's pretty cool.
I enjoy that.
And then another honorable mention I got here is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I did enjoy Sonic 2 more than Sonic 3.
Wow.
Just thought it was more fun.
Sonic 2 was a great movie. I haven't seen the third one.
So that's our top 10 list.
Top 5.
Top 5 list.
Yeah. With some honorable mentions. We should also say that we only did one per franchise.
We did only do one per franchise. That is correct. And then I was going off of a mental rule I didn't share with you. It had to be a theatrical release.
Okay.
And I almost said no animated.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have put a kink in my plans.
It would have.
Comic animated movie.
Those are the
they
best
have
ones.
an advantage.
Yeah. But we did choose this theme so we could talk about MCU stuff.
To reach a broader audience.
And then we didn't talk about MCU stuff.
We had
really.
one movie each, I think. Yeah. Well, we talked about Endgame and Infinity War a fair amount.
And people love those.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good. What heroes do you want to see them focus on after Secret Wars in the MCU?
I would still like some Young Avengers stuff. I don't know when they're going to get their time to shine. If the X-Men are coming in after Secret Wars.
Yeah, I do see that being a problem.
Yeah.
Also, with the Young Avengers stuff, they've been taking so long with it that they're not two young Avengers.
No.
They're probably around the same age as the Avengers were in the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Because how old is Kate Bishop or Haley Steinfeld now? She's
Right now, I think she's 28.
okay.
So I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, weren't the others older than that?
In the first Avengers movie?
Yeah.
I think Chris Evans was like 30 in that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're running out of time to have that young in their title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is, there's the rumor going around that they changed it to be called the Champions.
Oh, is that why?
I think that might be why.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't mind them being the champions instead.
Not as good a branding though.
No, it's not.
And then what are they doing with that? Is it going to be a Disney Plus thing?
Yeah, it
don't
should
know.
be a movie, I feel.
Yeah, probably. But
yeah, they're just kind of lost.
They
all those
are.
younger characters. And especially if the X-Men fully get into the universe.
oh, they're gone if they fully integrate the X-Men.
Yeah, they're not doing anything.
Do you think they'll do recasting of like Captain America and Iron Man after Secret Wars, or are they just keeping them retired?
I feel like if they do, it would be in a very, very minor role. Because you can't replace those people and have the fans be just as pleased and ready to watch one of those movies again.
But it happened with Andrew Garfield replacing Tobey, the Topester.
Those movies did not do well.
I guess not. Happens with Batman all the time. So why is Batman a James Bond type role but not Iron Man?
I think because it's still the same universe. Well, I guess it would
After
be a
Secret Wars,
sort of
it's a
different
softer
universe.
reboot.
That's more complicated stuff. But like Ben Affleck had no connection to Christian Bale whatsoever.
Yeah.
If they reboot it now, it'll be like this is still the same run of MCU movies.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same, but not after Secret Wars.
I think the problem with recasting is people are more a fan of those actors than they are of the characters.
Yes, because of all the press they did around the Avengers time, they're a very likable bunch.
They won over Tumblr, and that was a big deal.
That was a big part of their fame
Mhm.
right there. Yeah. Yeah, they'd have to be extremely likable people when they recast, or if they recast those characters. I loved that last Moon Knight issue.
With Hank Pym showing up?
Yeah,
I liked 8 Ball's little gang there.
that was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Who do you have there? He had Reese was the Chalk.
And the Pocket.
The Pocket was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then it's just Deadpool there, but it was Soldier.
Yeah, that was awesome stuff. And I liked when Hank Pym finally came in. He was like, you put my daughter in danger just because I wasn't answering my phone. And Moon was like, no one was in danger. Maybe 8 Ball, but no,
Yeah.
no one was really in danger.
Because I don't think Hank Pym needs to protect Nadia. She's tougher than he is.
I think she was going to do just fine against that squad.
Yeah, she's very tough in her
Yeah.
comics.
She was holding her own
Mhm.
just fine. Like he did not have to get involved.
Yeah, the Wasps in general are usually stronger than the Ant-Mans. They can fly on their own.
Yeah, and with
They
her
have
Red
Venom
Room
Stick. Yeah,
combat.
and she's a Black Widow.
Yeah. So like maybe once Moon Knight and Tiger got involved, she could have had some trouble, but just those three, she was going to do fine.
She had them.
Yeah. Or those four. I forgot about 8 Ball himself.
I liked that they included Nadia because she's definitely recently slid into the forgotten Marvel characters area.
It was a delightful surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's one of those characters that Marvel just introduces and they fall to the wayside immediately.
Yeah,
after
they
a
didn't
year or
have
two.
much of a plan for her when they made her, it
No.
felt like.
Which is a shame because I enjoy that character.
I enjoyed her solo comic as
Mhm.
well.
Underrated.
Yeah. It was better than I expected, for sure.
Who wrote that?
I was trying Jeremy Whiteley or something, I think.
Whitley.
Whitley?
Whitley or Whiteley?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
I haven't seen that name, like that writer's name anywhere else.
I haven't either.
Yeah, where has he been? He did some great stuff
did.
with a tough sell of a character, I would say.
It's similar with Christopher Hastings writing Gwenpool.
Some great stuff
Yeah.
with a tougher sell character.
He did. He wrote that, and then he wrote Longshot Saves the Marvel Universe.
Did you get that?
I do have that, of course.
How was it?
I quite like it. Actually, I think that was before Gwenpool.
I think so too.
Yeah, it was. And then he kind of fell off the Marvel map. I don't know what he's doing now.
Damn. Hopefully they'll come back.
That'd be great.
Both of them. Yeah.
So you haven't read the 3rd issue of Green Lantern Corps yet,
No.
but I am going to talk about something, and it's a minor spoiler.
Okay.
So you know how they had that gold egg?
Yeah.
It hatched,
Okay.
and then it was the Egyptian god Horus.
Okay.
How does that? And then he was speaking Egyptian.
Okay.
So I know Hawkman has those Egyptian roots, but I don't know enough about Hawkman lore to know if Thanagar also has Egyptian roots, Because I thought they fully rebooted the lore when they decided on Thanagar and the alien stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. And also, what does that have to do with any of them?
With the Hawks?
With the Hawks or the Green Lanterns? What are they going to do about that?
Horse is going off and he's going to make a new Thanagar.
Oh, okay, because it was destroyed,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. We got to check if Thanagar has some Egyptian roots somehow. It'd be weird if they did.
Yeah.
Because why would they? Why
Yeah.
would this alien planet have some Egyptian roots?
Like from a non-in-world explanation,
Yeah.
it would be to tie in. In-world, it would be to connect to Carter Hall and his origin.
Yeah.
But
they would have to make sense of that in that world.
mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Did you read Aquaman yet?
No. I read a few comics today. I just had to get through my last load before I got to the current load.
Shameful.
I know. I read West Coast Avengers, which I quite liked. I think that one's been getting better with every issue.
What happened in West Coast? Did
The
Wonder Man
actual
show up
Avengers,
at the end?
yeah, and the actual Avengers
Oh.
spent time
Yeah.
fighting them, and then Storm had a great time to shine because she bitched out that
Blue Bolt.
Blue Bolt. Yeah, since
I
we both have
remember
electricity powers, and
yeah.
he was like, let's fight with our fists then. And then she was like, oh, okay. And then she destroyed him.
Yeah, a lot of storm glazing going on.
Yeah, she was awesome in it. That was the highlight for me. I do keep on thinking every time I read that comic that I know I mentioned already that Iron Man should not be on the main Avengers when he's doing
Yep.
this main project with the West Coast Avengers, but whatever. That's another issue. Other than that, I'm enjoying that comic though.
I'm also enjoying it. I'm definitely not dropping it.
Yeah.
I'll stick with Jerry Dugan through thick and thin.
Yeah, I'm pretty faithful to him
Mhm.
nowadays. And I read Absolute Superman, which I've been enjoying, which you're not collecting.
No. So up until the most recent issue, was it on Krypton? How has this been happening?
It was kind of half and half. It was showing flashbacks of Krypton and how it got destroyed and his adventures before it got destroyed. And then it was showing him on the normal world just trying to survive, I guess. Because he's being hunted down by peacemakers for this company, Lazarus.
Okay.
And peacemakers are like the cops of that company.
Okay.
And they seem pretty controlling of society.
And are Ma and Pa Kent sort of protecting him, or what?
They just showed up in the last issue.
That was their first appearance.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was in a flashback still. It showed him, okay, the issue before this one was Krypton getting destroyed, and then he was in a separate ship and all the other ships got destroyed. His survived.
Okay.
And then it showed him going crazy inside of his ship all alone because he was in there for like 8 months.
Yep.
And then eventually he actually was going to just tell the ship to release him into space and he was done here, but then they found Earth. He landed right in front of Ma and Pa, which I wasn't expecting because I thought they were going to do a thing without Ma and Pa at all.
That is how they advertised it.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
But then they raised him a bit, but then Lazarus
Isn't he a grown man?
Not when he lands. He's kind of young still.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old would you say he is?
He was a teenager, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. So then he helps them out a bit around the farm, and then eventually the peacemakers find out, come and attack. Like, they don't have long together, but they do have a bond, and it did feel like home to them. But when the peacemakers attack, they're about to hurt Ma and Pa and the farm. So then Ma and Pa just tell him to fly away to keep everything safe, and then he flies away, and I think he's afraid to go back there now. So it's kind of the same, kind of different.
Another thing I've been wondering with that is, does he have energy powers of some kind? Is his cape and then his hands glow? What's going on
His
with
cape is, because the Krypton technology was much higher than we have. The cape is like an artificial intelligence. It was also his ship.
that? The cape was his ship?
Yeah, like it transforms into different things, and then it took him, and then it just
Okay.
guides him through Earth now. And then it just has mixed shapes and stuff. It can do a lot of different things.
What's your estimate on when we get an Absolute Justice League comic?
I feel like this upcoming all-in free comic book day thing
You think it's teasing that?
must have something to do with it, because I don't know what other direction the whole Absolute universe could be going in as a whole. Because like maybe they could gather the team this year, and then next year they could start worrying about Darkseid and kind of stretch it out a bit. Because I don't think they want to come to a conclusion anytime soon with how their sales are going.
No. I think a Justice League is harder for them to do with them all having solo comics.
Yeah.
Where they're all kind of on the ropes. It doesn't make sense for how they're finding ways and time to meet up.
Yeah, they're all like barely scraping by
Yeah.
right now. And then they all have this time to meet up and do other stuff at the same time. It doesn't make sense.
It works better in Ultimates because they're all kind of, they have to be together.
Also, none of them have their own comic. in
That too.
Ultimates.
Yeah. They set it up better for a team book, but then they don't have individual ongoings as well as
Yeah,
the trade-off there.
yeah. They got a good amount of ongoings for solo people in the Ultimate Universe, still just not those main characters, I guess.
What team could they do an absolute version of that wouldn't need solo books for the team members?
Titans.
So it would be the non-legacy Titans? Is that what you're thinking? Like Teen Titans Year Earth 1? So you're thinking
Well, they could have Nightwing still.
he just doesn't know Bruce Wayne at all? He's his own thing?
Yeah, and then the rest can be the not legacy ones like Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy.
I think it would be fun if in the Absolute Universe, when they introduce Dick Grayson, he's thriving.
He just has a great life.
Yeah, like his parents aren't dead.
And it shows how much Bruce Wayne really messed with his life.
No, because his parents died. That's what messed with his life.
Okay,
So his parents aren't dead. The circus is thriving.
that would be great stuff. I
Yeah.
would like that. And he's just a huge star at the circus.
Because also, how old is Bruce in Absolute stuff? Is he like
I'm
20,
not sure.
22 or something?
Yeah, younger like that. Yeah,
So then how young would Dick Grayson be? Would it be a more brotherly relationship?
I
don't
guess
know.
so. Yeah, they could be close in age.
That has been our 4th episode of Kicking Trees. We discussed top 5 superhero movies, each with our own list. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you again next week.